Yes, hello. Yeah, hope everybody's good. And it's been a while, actually. And I was a little bit tight with other schedule, and I could upload more content. So it's not an issue. But today I wanted to give you some few insights about first troubled areas as FTA in both perspective, structural, and time frame wise. But I won't go so deeper. I'll just give some insight as the basics insight. And on first troubled areas concept, which it goes together with the deviational. So I won't talk about deviation. I'll just talk about FTA only. And I will talk about the way you have to understand about first troubled areas in perspective of structure and in perspective of time frame, but also how is FTA useful? How do you apply FTA, right? Together with the directional bias. And also, I will talk about what are the common things which need to be understood or to be considered for the proper connection between directional bias and FTA, right? So these are the key things which you have to understand while you are trying to connect between the concept of directional bias together with the FTA as first troubled areas. So which are the recently price action? You have to understand the recent price action, the recent areas of liquidity, the past price action, but also the past areas of liquidity. And how are you going to navigate through them? All right. So it is just like that. Without wasting time, let's dive into this. So starting with the theoretical view of the concept is that the theoretical view, starting with the structure, is this. Actually, FTA, in a general definition, we can consider it as the bridge, right? Is the bridge which act between a constant time frame and the situation time frame, or actually between the situation time frame and the constant time frame. But on the part of deviation, it acts as the bridge between the constant time frame and deviation in situational time frame. So for FTA, it's the bridge between situation time frame and the constant time frame. So as we already talked about the types of time frame during the past videos, that we have the types of time frame and we have the groups of time frame, which the groups of time frame is actually composed from the actually the general types of the time frame, which is constant time frame and situation time frame. So that means from those group, which we have the first group is monthly. Monthly is our constant time frame, then daily is our situation time frame. Then once daily is our constant time frame, then uh, our situation time frame became 1 hour, right? And once 1 hour is our constant time frame, then our situation time frame become the 15 minutes time frame. So from here, and once also our 15 minutes become our constant time frame, then our 3 minutes become our situation time frame. And this was for the first group. And for the second group, actually, the time frame is that once weekly become our constant time frame, then our situation time frame become 4 hour. And once 4 hour become our constant time frame, then 30 minutes become a situation time frame. And once 30 minutes become our constant time frame, then 5 minutes become our situation time frame. So basing on the structure, before we dive into the time frame, is that since we said that the general definition of FTA is that it acts as the bridge between the situational time frame and the constant time frame. So that means without the existence of the FTA, that means the situation time frame cannot provide enough info to tell us that the market can go direct to the constant time frame or can reach out to the constant time frame, or the price can reach out to the constant time frame from the situation time frame. So that means it need to give us an enough info with the connection to the FTA, right? To tell us that right now the market can be able and it have enough liquidity to actually reach out to our constant time frame. So it is just like that. And basing on structure, what is happening is that sometimes you can find out which this is the weakness of directional buyers without FTA. So that means sometimes what is happening based on structure is that sometimes let us say maybe our constant time frame is monthly time frame. So sometimes we might have a bullish type area of liquidity here, all right, based on our monthly, all right. But here we have also a bullish type area of liquidity of a weekly. But since the daily is our situation time frame, it might also be on the bullish movement. So that means if the situation time frame become able to perform a shift, right, this will not be the enough reason for us to decide that right now the market is heading for the formation of a monthly low, right? Or the market is heading toward the bullish type area of liquidity of monthly, right? So we cannot say that right now the market can grab the liquidity here and go direct for the formation of a monthly low. Why? Because on the daily perspective, which is the situation time frame of the monthly, it is already bearish. But still, on our weekly, we are still bullish, right? So right now, the only info we have is that the market is bearish on the daily, which is the situation time frame of the monthly, and it can offer us the enough liquidity to reach out to our weekly. So once the weekly become also able to be broken, then from here we can say that the market maybe can go and head for the formation of a monthly low, right? So that's why we consider that our FTA as our bridge. So it connects between the situation and time frame, right? So that means here, this is our situation time frame, right? And here, this is our FTA time frame, which is marked by the green color code. And here, monthly, this is maybe you can consider this as our monthly, right? So this is the whole perspective based on the structure, right? So I'll not go to the case scenarios of FTA, which will actually consider more, or which will actually give more info on the structure. But what I want to give you is a hint for you to actually grasp something, and it can be useful for you. And so for that reason, since the structural theory is already understood, then we can head for the time frame. So since, if you remember, we talked about direction bias, and even here we have already talked about the groups of time frame. So starting with the monthly, the first group, which is the monthly, all right, as a constant time frame, and daily as a situation time frame. And if daily become our constant, then 1 hour become our constant time frame, right? And if 1 hour become our constant time frame, then our situation time frame become 15 minutes. And once 15 minutes become our constant time frame, then 3 minutes can be our situation time frame. So from this scenario, we let's take a look at the FTA time frame. So the FTA time frame, as we said, are the time frame which act as the bridge between the situation time frame and the constant time frame, right? So that means if this is our situation time frame here, and then here This is our FTA, and this is our constant. So that means without the existence of this bridge, then we cannot connect between the situation time frame and the constant time frame, right? So it is just like that. So that means between, let's take a look, what are the time frames which are in between the situation time frame and constant time frame of the first group. So the time frames which are in between, for example, here, between monthly and daily, here, we have a weekly time frame, right? And the time frame which is between the daily and 1 hour here is the 4 hour time frame. And the time frame which is between 1 hour and 15 minutes here, we have the 30 minutes. All right. And the time frame which is between 15 minutes and 3 minutes here, we have the 5 minutes. So this is for the first group. And for the second group here, we have a weekly time frame, which when it acts as a constant, then our situation but time frame become 4 hour. And once 4 hour become our constant time frame, then 30 minutes become our situation time frame. And once 30 minutes become our constant time frame, then we can consider 5 minutes as our situation. So between weekly here for the second group, between weekly and 4 hour, we have the daily time frame as our FTA time frame, and between 4 hour and 30 minutes, we have here 1 hour as our FTA or as the bridge, right? And between 30 minutes and 5 minutes here, we have 15 minutes as our FTA time frame or as the bridge. So that means without the existence of these bridges, we cannot connect between the situation time frame and the constant time frame. So, but for the deviation, which I will not talk about it, it actually expresses and shows how the constant time frame. So the deviation is the vice versa of the FTA. So it tells the connection between the constant time frame toward the situational time frame, right? Situational time frame. So here is for the deviation, but here it's for the FTA, which today we'll talk about this one and not this one. So it is just like that, theoretically based on the time frame. So the key, the whole scenario, as we said before on the structure, theoretically, is that without, even if it is in the second group, let us say here we have the weekly as our bearish taper of liquidity, all right? And here, actually, basing on the weekly here, we can say that in order for the market to actually, maybe it was already able to come and already initiated the move for the formation of a weekly lower high. But here we have the bullish type of liquidity of a daily, right? So that means even if the market will reach out within the weekly area of liquidity and grab the liquidity and become able to perform a shift on its situation time frame, which it is 4 hour, still it is not enough to tell us that the market is heading for the formation of the weekly low, right? So actually the current move which the market will tell you, or the current opportunity which for the bearish move which it is actually has been presented on the market is for the bearish movement for the formation of the weekly of the daily low, all right, and not the weekly low. Why? Because the shift which has been performed was for the direction of the formation of the daily low. So until the market become able to perform the shift on the daily, which is our FTA, and actually connect between the situation and the constant, then from there we can say that we are going for the formation of the constant time frame low, which is the weekly low. All right. So that's how it works. And this is how you are supposed to manage your trades. But apart from managing your trades, and this is how you have to obtain your trades. The shift which has been performed will have to guide you to decide what kind of trade I'm going to take today, whether it is an intraday or a swing trade or a scalping trade, and which in between of those trades, which one will have high probability for you to wait for it, right? So it is just like that. So another thing, another thing is that how is actually FTA useful? We have already to say about that. So FTA, it will help you to actually be able to understand how am I going to manage my trades? How am I going to obtain my opportunities? Where the opportunity lies in the market, all right? And for that, before we go to the chart, we are going to pass through this theoretically, then we'll go to the chart. So once we take a look at what are the common things need to be understood for the proper connection between directional bias and FTA, all right? So the common mistakes also which are made is that people are more focusing on the past price action and forget the recent price action, or they fail to connect between the recent price action with the past price action with the recent price action, or they fail to differentiate between the past area of liquidity with the recent area of liquidity, right? And where the opportunity lies. So they focus on the opportunity based on the past price action and actually ignore the opportunities which are presented on the recent price action. So at the end of the day, they actually fall in a cycle of waiting or of actually not executing the trades while they are actually locked on the position to wait for the perfect setup, which it has never ever been in the market, right? So it is like that. So let's take a look at it in a simple way. So once we talk about the recent price action, the recent price action are based on maybe on the theoretical view. Maybe we have an uptrend here, right? And I've already talked a lot about it on the past videos. If you didn't take a look at it, you can take a look at the market structure formation cycle. I've actually expressed about it a lot more. Okay, so I've elaborated a lot. You can take a look and you can remind yourself if you have forgot or if you didn't pass through, you can pass through and grab something. So actually, the difference between the recent price action and the past price action is that the past price action is the price action which has already been performed, right? Or it has already been reflected on the market, right? But the recent price action, it is what is happening here. It is what is happening here, all right? And the recent area of liquidity, for example, let's take an example maybe here. As we said, we had maybe a bullish type of liquidity, but the shift was performed and we had an inside formation, and then maybe the market was able to claim that trend. So here, this one here, this one, this is our recent area of liquidity, right? And this one here is your past area of liquidity, right? And actually, within the past area of liquidity, this is where we find, our past price action, right? We can see how the market was actually, the liquidation process was performed, but together with the liquidity consumption was actually performed within the area. So through the past price action. But The recent price action is what is happening here currently, all right? And the recent area of liquidity is here, all right? So actually within this recent area of liquidity, we can decide and we can see maybe this area, this all areas, the past area of liquidity can give us the turning point spot or key level. But also the recent area of liquidity can also give us the turning point spot or key level. So what we need to understand is what is the market doing currently? Where is it heading? Where is the direction of the market currently? So if the market was actually heading for the formation of a low, basing on the recent price action, so the formation of this low, it is not the reason for us to maybe to buy right now here for the formation of a lower high. No, this is just an indication that tells us that currently the market was able to form a low. So for the formation of a lower high, we need to see the market become able to perform a shift, but not only a single shift. We need to see a situation time frame shift together with the FTA time frame shift. And that from there, we can take our trade for the formation of that lower high, right? And actually here is where actually people actually get trapped in. The opportunities lies within the recent price action. So if currently the market is heading for the formation of a lower high, focus on the formation of a lower high. But if you see the opportunity is not favorable for your criteria, don't take it, right? But if it favor or it meets your criteria, then you can take it. But don't put your hopes or your hopes that that if the market was able to form this low, then once it come to form this low high, then we'll have high probability for the formation of this low. It doesn't work like that, right? Even if the market come back within this area, it is not the reason that the market is going to form for the low. There are some criteria you need to look and see if the market allows you to take that trade. So if it gives you another situation time frame shift together with FTA shift, then you can take that trade because the new trend will be claimed. And right now the market is heading for the formation of a low, right? So it is just like that. So the opportunities lies if the market is heading for the formation of a new low and the trend has already been claimed, you don't need to focus on this past price action for the formation of a lower high. No, take the opportunities basing on the direction of the market currently for the heading of the formation of a low. And if the market again change direction for the formation of this low high, take advantage basing on that movement for the formation of that low until the market reach out to the final target, which it is our higher time frame target, right? So that's the key thing you have to understand. So without wasting time, let's take a look at the chart, right? For example, here we had this GBP JPY here. So basing on the monthly perspective, actually the market was still, this was our recent area of liquidity, right? This was our recent area of liquidity. And I hope everybody know how to identify the area of liquidity. And if you don't know, you can take a look at the past videos. I've also explained about it. So actually the market was coming to form this low, and then we're anticipating for the formation of that high if the market meet the criteria. Which criteria we need? We need to see the situational time frame shifting has been performed in this area, which actually this shift was performed here, all right? But also the deviational I mean the FTA time frame shift. So basing on the FTA, there was no such clear external structure which was presented here, right? So for that reason, we only had the internal structures presented. And the internal structure, once I talk about the internal structure and the external structure, it is all about major structure and minor structure. And I've also talked about it on the market structure formation cycle video. If you didn't take a look, you can take a look also and understand it. So the minor structures or the internal structures were able to perform shift and actually give us the reason to take this advantage. So for example, here we had the transition, and I hope my students understand what kind of transition is that and how to approach it. But actually the market, so that means even if we had this transition, which was actually performed here, this is not the reason still to take advantage for the buy currently. If the market was heading for the formation of this high, we are supposed to take advantage for the formation of this high. And once the market become to reach out to this area, we could take advantage for the formation of this low, right? So it is just like that. For example, let's take a look. So based on the past price action, actually, you could also refine and take a trade. So that means based on the monthly here, we had this as our recent area of liquidity. So this recent area of liquidity, we could look to the uh, price action, the past price action which was performed here before, right? So this we can have a recent area of liquidity, but the price action, it is not recent, it is past, right? The recent price action is this one here, what is happening here, all right? So here you could define within your recent area of liquidity to take a look at your past price action to see whether you'll have the possibility to take advantage. So basing on the daily here, basing on the daily, we had this actually, this was no clear shift was performed here, but the shift, the minor shift was performed here, or the internal shift, and the major shift was performed here. And we had multiple inside formation, which was this one here, but also this one here. So basing on this area, that means if you was about to take a trade basing on this price action which was happening here, you was not supposed to wait for the price to reach to come back within this area. You were supposed to focus on the recent areas, right? To take advantage of these moves for the formation of that, high, right? And actually, after the market come back within this area, we are supposed to take a look at it. So that means even if the market was heading for the formation of a monthly low, what we needed to see, it is also the situational time frame shift, which was performed here together with the FTA. But the FTA was not reflected well here, all right? So if what it was not reflected well, that means why did I say it no it was not reflected well for the shift? Because here we had only the break of structure and not the shift. And I hope my students understand the criteria for the shift, right? But I will give you the hints. For every shift, what you need to see is the new area of liquidity or the formation within. So if the formation was not formed, whether outside or inside, then we don't have a shift, all right? So for the transition, it can consider based on the criteria on the case scenario which has happened. But if the break of structure happened, then you consider it as the shift, then prepare to be doomed. All right. So it is just like that. So what happened actually, the market performed a break of structure and returned to this area of liquidity, which based on the lower time frame, which is the weekly, which is our weekly as our FTA, it was reflected as the past price action, but based on the monthly, this was the recent price action. So another person could define within this area to take this trade from here, right? But another person could wait for the confirmation here to take the trade. So that means he could wait for the daily shift again here after it has happened here as we saw, then he could wait for the possibility to take advantage within this move here. But before this move happened, he could also wait for the shift which has happened here, and we had this inside formation here. So you could take your trade from here. You could refine more and take your trade from here for the formation of this low. But also, basing on this movement, you could also wait for the price after the market become able to form this low. You could wait for another shift, maybe the 1 hour together with the 4 hour shift for the formation of this lower high, right? So for the first video, I'll talk about, as I said, I'll talk about this theoretically and a little example, but for the second part video, I'll give you more examples. So get prepared and pass through the theory. Make sure you grab something, and see you on the next time. So see you next time.